Thanks for the warm welcome and thanks for having me here. You don't see that Oliver on the table. We have to get broken out, but I appreciate you all very much. And this is my first time speaking to Rotary. I haven't been a lot, but I'll say my mom is talk to you and thank you, Eric, for the introduction. I've been working for I used to have our own Virginia. Grew up in East Tennessee. I lived in partially just after graduation. And I've come to Atlanta because of that. I have family and lived in the place for 2 years. We're back here so often, I finally said, maybe we should just move there. Yeah, let's do it. We've been here for 15 years. As well. And as Aaron said, we are a global organization. Our mission is to on all life defense. That's different than when I started almost 25 years ago. What changed about it is that you can see plans all life. So we really made a conscious effort to think about not only plants and animals. Change that I think about like maybe 15 years ago. So that was really good. And I was really happy about that. And then we have a vision kind of incorporates people too. It's hard to see that with the top there, but it's a world where first for its own sake. Yeah. You know, a lot of us, probably a lot of you. But it also provides us with some experience. We also want to appeal to that self-interest of humans. By the way, this spot here that you see, this beautiful boardwalk, that's down in Appalachian Preserve. And that boardwalk we just built three or 4 years ago, part of the effort we have to really make our preserves inviting to people and crowds with the very poor counties in Ohio, and they're really that too by providing infrastructure. You should try to go down there if you can. And Aaron asked me to talk mostly about Central Ohio, but before I do that, see if I can get this. It's kind of gotten stuck here. There we go. I want to talk about our values. So talk about what happens in conservative science, and I really like applied science. We care a lot about conservation. A lot of times the kids don't look at how we want to share just and we love that location for the river and all these. So we're all really connected. We also have another organization values. Mission, but stay for the people. Some of the things we share our values of integrity, respect for people, communities, and culture, commitment to those are the values that drive us as an organization. Give an idea of how that looks. For example, the respect for people, community. One of the things we've done is we're trying to reconnect American tribes that used to be in Ohio. There's still a lot of Native people in Ohio. We should forget that, but as you know, other numbers connected with 35 Ohio offered our rituals. One of the things that we're doing. So we do have a local presence, quite a local presence actually. But we also work in 79 countries. Maybe big another one here, there. Or we have more than one. We have one open one. We have big ones all around the state. But we also work in every state, 79 countries. That's big local goals right now, related to climate change and biodiversity. So among the goals are we're looking to remove about 6% of greenhouse gas through things like fencing. As you know, kind of one of the miracles of nature is we have harvest. Here's a harvest that may take well there. So that's a nice tool for helping to remove CO2. So that's what capitalizing on it and really trying to improve, obviously. We're also looking to protect ocean. That's something that's a newer thing for the Conservancy, for land conservation. But we've worked and started to do a lot more work on ocean. The goal by 2030 to protect about 10% of ocean area. We continue to protect one huge looking to by 2030 an area 2 times the size of India. We're doing a lot of work on freshwater, which I'll talk some about here in Ohio in a minute, and of course, trying to improve the lives of people as well. So we don't look at just one thing. We try to provide multiple goods. As an example, in Ohio, we do have about 50,000 acres of part of the 5,000 acres or so down there. So that's we're looking at eco we're trying to do to promote healthy forests, but also to counties. How do we balance different needs? We've expanded our impact a lot, and Aaron, this map looks quite different than we did not too long ago. We've got many more projects, 165 dots on that map. And some of them are places with open trails, the orange dots up there. Excuse me, you see our places where you can go, visit preserves, refuge. And I'm just going to point here. Yeah, that's the big Darby Headwaters Preserve. So I'll go into that in a minute. But we have projects all over the state. And the way we've scaled up is we always depend on science to guide and prioritize work we're looking to try to protect biodiversity, enhance carbon sequestration, help people, and improve water quality. So those are kind of our goals, and use science to really guide us in places where we work there is to deliver the greatest benefits. But we work in many different ways. We work a lot in partnership. One of the three things that I started 5 years ago about big ideas. So we're getting good enough to try to solve project by project. We're looking at outcomes like improve water quality for Lake Erie, for the Ohio River. We're making all the city of Columbus, projects. How do we solve at a big scale, which needs partnerships and policy? And again, that's where we're going, and we work a lot in partnerships with many different organizations. One of our big partners is the Ohio Department. Just today, after this meeting, I'm going to speak with Director Mertz there about policy and other activities throughout the state. A number of the projects that you see on this are a result from that program. I want to start to focus in on the big Darby. And it's one of the places the Nature Conservancy called one of the last great places on Earth. It was one of only 12 to start with, which is pretty amazing that the Nature Conservancy found this river in Ohio to be one of the last great places to place it. It truly is a gem. It's got so much biodiversity in it, in a landscape that has agriculture now developing rapidly. We have on our board who was the director of the park down there where that star is. there are more fish species in that park than you find west of the Rocky Mountains. So it's pretty incredible. So a lot of diversity of fish and mussels. And I wanted to talk about this because Aaron actually was focusing on Central Ohio. This is really the crown jewel of Central Ohio in terms of our conservation mission and needs. So you can see some other data and information there about mussel species, which are mussels they're not super sexy species, but they're super cool. They clean water, and boy, if you get to know them, when I say know them, I don't know if I'm talking to me or you check them out. I'm not that good. Dr. Doolittle probably couldn't even speak to them. But you look at a snorkel mask and check out underwater in the Darby. I think my kids have done that, and it's not quite like being in the tropics, but if you're there at the right time of the year, particularly in the spring, it's a little cool. The darter species, little fish, are very colorful. You can see nothing color. They're pretty cool. And crayfish, which are like little lobsters, are a little scary when you see a lot of them. But the mussels are pretty amazing. Like there's one that sends out it looks like a little fish. And the fish kind of trying to live on that. But they get it. The mussel squirts out swim upstream or around different places. The only way you can get a mussel upstream that attached to a fish. So they attach the larva to the fish. Fish gets upstream, the larva drop off, and the mussels grow. So just fascinating stuff. Even though you look at them, they're kind of okay looking, but just when you learn about them, they're pretty cool. And they clean our water. So there's a picture of some of the mussel shells, and then there's one of those beautiful fish that I was mentioning, the rainbow darter, which is actually quite common. There's some more rare ones, but that one's particularly showy and colorful. So I want to go up to the Big Darby Creek headwaters. This is where our preserve is. And as we spoke, again, in partnership with Franklin County Metro Parks, this happened before I got here. It was kind of funny because we're like, well, why did they get all the big stuff? And we got these little tiny creeks up at the top. And it was partly because their mission is so much recreation focused and really inviting people up to the preserves in their land areas. They kind of claim the areas where you can get on the water and float and things like that. And we thought, well, it's important as a nature organization, as a conservation organization. Let's start where the water starts. All what goes up there at the headwaters affects the entire river system. So this is a really important priority area for us to work. So looking at that area, this is a guy named Anthony Sass, and I wanted to point him out because he's just been the major advocate for the Big Darby Creek from the beginning. And he doesn't quite look like that now. That's probably about 15 years ago, but he's a little bit older and I think a little wiser as well. But he's a great guy. So I want to show you what this area looked like when we purchased it. And this was the creek. And the way that it looked, and as you can see, it's pretty straight and not a whole lot of sinuosity. It didn't look very natural, does it? Look like a ditch. It basically was a ditch. The river had been changed to build a highway out there. This is right near the Honda manufacturing from the racetrack, right? The existing track, just across the road from it. Honda's been a really strong partner. We have really strong corporate partnerships. The reasons I like working for the Conservancy. We're happy to work with corporate partners. We're a nonpartisan organization. I truly believe that having ideas and sharing ideas for outcomes and policy is something that's good for as an individual and who we are as an organization. And we work closely with many different corporations, including Honda. But that's what it looks like. And that, as you can imagine, is a great place really for those kind of fish species that I'll show you, the mussels and things like that. They don't really live well in ditches. We took that site. It's what it looked like again pre-restoration with these flashing banks and erosion and things like that. We took that site and we designed a restoration project. And this is kind of the conceptual plan where you look at taking what was a ditch that ran along the road and moving it back into this area. Meanders back, which helps to create different types of habitat. Wetlands that can absorb water when there's flooding. It decreases flooding downstream, it decreases erosion, improves the water quality of the whole river. And I show you this as an example of one restoration. We've got 40 of these going on throughout the state now. This was the first one, though. And there's a lot of firsts in Ohio, and I said maybe if I have time, I can get back to it. So this is what it looked like as in the restoration. It's actually grown in a lot more since then, but you can see kind of a more natural type of meander and a little riffle there, which is just kind of a little rapid, and some then flat water. And it's grown in very nicely over the years. EPA's come in and done sampling, and they're finding fish coming right back. So again, one of the things I get really excited about in Ohio is the restoration and bringing things back that weren't here. You've seen the recovery of bald eagle. I mean, we've all seen bald eagle. My kids aren't even that excited to see a bald eagle. They've seen so many, but you know, all of us still get excited about it because they were basically non-existent when we were kids, and so they're back. So one of the things I also like to tell people is you hear a lot of gloom and doom on nature, which we should listen to, but there are lots of good stories of recovery as well. And quite a beautiful area. You should go visit this area. If you want to just search for it, if you look for it, it's called Big Darby Headwaters Preserve, and it'll send you it'll send you directions if you Google that, and you can go right to it. And I just wanted to mention too, while we're focused on freshwater here, there's a lot of other habitat for enhancing, pollinators. I think we did with this in the pollinators. We're always looking at native type pollinators, incorporating that into the design. As I said, we're always looking at for multiple benefits. I don't think we have any project that's just about pollinators. We're just about water. We're just about terrestrial habitat. All these different things together. And then how does that benefit people? So there's a trail you can walk on there as well. So again, this is the closest preserve that you'll find. And there's an overlook to the restoration area at the end. It's just a little over a mile to get there. I think it's 1.1 miles each way. So it's not too far of a walk. There's actually another overlook area that's even closer. There's some ADA accessible trails. And of course, people love it. People are really enjoying it. But the wildlife loves it as well. And I wanted to show you this article. This came out yesterday. You hear about Columbus being a hidden gem in the United States. People come here and they're like, wow, this place is nicer than I realized. You know, within the hidden gem of Columbus or other hidden gems, there was an article yesterday. Those hidden gems to visit, and one of them is this. I was already planning to talk about this. I didn't have to do this. It worked out well. And like our PR person, Jen Murphy, I said, well, that was good timing for me. So like, I didn't know when it's going to happen, but really happy it did. So we restored over a stream through that, created a lot of new riparian area. Tree planting is another thing. Last week, the tree planting. And we do tree planting as part of other projects. Over 40,000 trees and shrubs planted in this project as well. And wetland restoration as well. Again, wetlands are right. Farming types of ecosystems because they do so many things. They provide habitat. They slow down and store water. They reduce flooding. They help with clean water. They're like water filters. What else do they do? They sequester carbon. Again, and also for those of you who might like to hunt, a lot of good habitat for waterfowl, right? So they just provide a lot of different recreational and other benefits. Again, this was a concept that we thought we needed to replicate, and we helped to pass H2 Ohio, which then allowed that to be replicated in many other parts of the state. So there are still threats to Big Darby, and Central Ohio is growing, which is a blessing. But it's also something we need to manage. And I'm going to talk about Rapid 5 quickly after this, which is partly an effort. I got to go quickly. So I got 5 minutes to talk about Rapid 5. So there's more that needs to be done there. One other thing I want to mention, the Big Darby Nature Center. There's an exhibit. We had a opening to it on the 17th, but there's a lot of beautiful photographs taken by one of our former trustees, member of our board that you can go and check out there. You should go check that out. And I'll skip through those real quick and go to Rapid 5. So we have to put a different hat on. Board of the organization called Rapid 5. Has anybody heard of Rapid 5? So I think those of you who have probably heard of it, partly because Dr. Amy Acton was the CEO of the organization. And a board, it's a strong board, but I don't want to like build myself up and say, really, and I got on it too somehow. really a strong board, and she realized after being, a little over a year, that there's an incredible vision of and bringing here's the 5 pillars. So the idea of it is to access to it's to recreational benefit, vitality, and it's a beautiful vision. It's really cool. If you more rapid fire go to the website, pictures drawn by landscape architects of what Central Ohio could look like in this vision. Incredible vision. Question out how to implement that, how to guide that development in a way that meets these 5 pillars. And she realized, like, I'm probably not the right CEO to figure out the strategies. So the right person to kind of build the board, and kind of get excitement around it. Board, you guys go at it, figure out what needs to happen. That's what we're working on now. So again, it's the 5 watersheds in Central Ohio. That's like 5: Big Darby, which I mentioned, Sido, Olentangy, Elk Creek, and Big Walnut. So again, you can support that work. So this is my last slide. So I'm getting would love for you to remember, if you're not already, for those of you who are, that there are a number of you, many of you perhaps already earned their own. Thank you for that. Different opportunities on this to get actually create. You can also get involved in volunteer for the organization. Check that out. You can org here. There's an action center. You can take action virtually. This is the preserve, and just being a member is a super help. So that's thank you, Andrew.
Don't get too far away yet. Let's see if we have time for one question. Agriculture. Got to imagine you've got a couple and in partnerships. Harmonious or contentious?
Mostly harmonious, to be honest. Our Bureau Federation, it's taking time. Probably a decade. There's a group called the Contact Activists. I think we're very concerned because of meetings and they talk very down. Very program and taking classes.
Like you was there to have those relationships.
Possible to clean up later. It turns out I'm going to get, there's a lot of efforts into place and some of the things that are being
Thank you, this. Let me just mention a couple things quickly, and then we'll return. But we do have a great speaker coming next week. I'm very excited to say Jean Oliver is going to be running the meeting and is going to be talking about the court act. Forward, we have cybersecurity around that discussion, and this cybersecurity things. Really looking forward to that as well. The Central Ohio and Franklin County aging, or you're going to hear some tips and tricks for our loved ones and our those we care about and those we care for, and they hope to be. And August 18th, we're very excited. We have our first field trip for the quarter. We're going to be thinking in the food pantry and foundation on August 18th. So great weeks. And we have car show, and we have Dublin Irish Festival. So what's going on? Let me end with a quote. We think of our land and water as static and sterile possessions, but are giving assets to be directed by wise provision for future things.